give an opening statement before we move into formal questions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer each question, and the candidates will alternate being the first one to answer each question. If a candidate is specifically mentioned by the other candidate, then the one mentioned will have 1 minute to rebut. We will reserve 15 minutes at the end of the evening for Q&A audience. No interruptions of the candidate's remarks will be tolerated, either by the other candidate or from the audience. Audience members are welcome, however, to engage in applause at the end of each set of remarks if they so choose. No partisan signage, comments, or outbursts of any kind will be tolerated. Timing will be conducted by the Patrick Henry Debate Society, seated right here. They will hold up cue cards at 1 minute, 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and time. I will interrupt the candidates when the time card shows, but I will allow them to finish their sentence. At the end of the formal Q&A, the audience is encouraged to ask questions. We respectfully request that residents of the borough be given priority for the Q&A to the extent possible. Responses to those questions will also be limited to 2 minutes each. At the mutual request of the candidates, we will begin our forum this evening with a 2-minute explanation of the scope of the Borough of Gettysburg's mayor's responsibilities and authorities presented by Dr. Alana Safapur. I even practiced before, didn't I? Safapur, and she will provide this lesson, followed by opening remarks from each of the candidates delivered in alphabetical order by last name. Alana?
Good evening, everyone. As a political scientist, I often remind my students that although presidential elections do capture headlines, local elections profoundly shape our daily lives. Your mayor makes decisions that directly affect your neighborhood, often in ways that are much more immediate and tangible than any federal policy. Despite this, very few voters participate in local politics. In the last mayoral election, less than 1,300 voters cast ballots, and their winner was determined by about 250 votes. Now, under state law, Gettysburg's mayor serves as the borough's sole elected executive officer, and this position carries specific duties: preserving order, enforcing ordinances, ensuring faithful performance of appointed officers, signing contracts and legal documents, and reporting to the borough council. The mayor also possesses emergency powers to protect public safety during times of crisis. Now, the issue generating a great deal of discussion locally concerns police oversight. And state law also creates a careful balance of power between the mayor and the borough council over our police force. The borough council establishes the police department, creates its structure, designates its ranks, and controls the budget. However, the mayor holds day-to-day operational control once police officers are hired. This means the mayor directs how police duties are performed, supervises the police chief, makes deployment decisions, and coordinates law enforcement activities. So the next relevant question at the heart of this debate is, can or should these powers be delegated? Well, Pennsylvania law provides one avenue. With council approval, a mayor may voluntarily delegate non-legislative and non-judicial powers to the borough manager. However, this is a choice that a mayor may make. It is not a requirement under existing law. Alternatively, it's possible to alter the existing balance of power by changing Gettysburg's fundamental government structure through a voter-approved home rule charter. Now, whether that existing division of authority should be changed is a topic that both candidates will likely address this evening. Now, with that brief introduction, I'd like to invite the candidates for mayor to issue their opening statements, beginning with Councilmember Chad Allen Carr.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Chad Allen Carr, and I'm running for mayor of Borough of Gettysburg. I was told that's one of the first things you have to say. Make sure you say your name, make sure you say what title you're after. I ran for this position 3 years ago for the exact same reasons I'm still running again. I believe that this borough needs proven leadership, energizing town, and accountability and transparency. First and foremost, I believe that the police department needs more and better oversight, period. Respectfully, I do have to correct one thing in that statement you just made. The Commonwealth of PA Borough Code does not necessarily say that it is delegated to the borough manager. It specifically says it can be delegated to an officer. An officer has no definition in the Commonwealth Borough Code, believe it or not. We're all sworn officers. I took an oath when I took office as council member at large of Borough of Gettysburg. The borough manager takes an oath as well. So does our code enforcement officer. So does our president and vice president. So, again, respectfully, it does not state that it has to go to the borough manager. I believe that the police department needs to be have the same oversight as all of our departments in our borough. Every single one of our departments, except for one, reports to 7 elected council members. The police department is the only one that only reports to one person. Thank you, 30 seconds. I believe that that can be changed for the best interest of the taxpayer. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Rita Frealing. I'm a native daughter of the Gettysburg area, and I now live in Gettysburg. I grew up here, I went to school here. I have more than 40 years of experience in law, public policy, communications, and direct public services. One thing is about the mayor and the role and the oversight by of the police department. Section 1121 of the Borough Code cannot be any clearer. Subsection A states that the mayor shall have full charge and control of the chief of police and the police force. I did my little research, and I only think there's 2 places in Pennsylvania where this isn't so, and one is Bethel Park, and the other is Penn Hills. And that was determined by home rule. That's one way you can change it. If you really want everybody's opinion and every resident's opinion, you just don't take the mayor and let him shine it over to somebody. That should be done by a vote of committees made up of different people in the borough. That includes elected officials. And I'm also an attorney, so I think I bring that to this and understanding that. So, I really don't have that much more to say. It's clearly stated in Pennsylvania law who has oversight of the police department. Now, if Gettysburg wants to veer off on another course, go ahead. And I'm sure you're going to get a lawsuit. And everybody here is so afraid of lawsuits, and I do have to bring this up. While I had oversight of the police department, not one lawsuit was brought against them. Thank you.
Thank you to both of you. While we are on the topic of police and policing oversight, by the way, the candidates received the categories and some draft questions in advance of tonight's forum, but they were not given, we were not identifying which specific questions would be asked. This first question relates to policing and policing oversight. Some Gettysburg residents have raised concerns about alleged police misconduct and the perception that local officers sometimes act too aggressively, which can erode trust between the community and law enforcement. As mayor, how would you address these concerns and ensure that the police department operates with accountability, fairness, and respect for all residents? Mayor Frealing, we'll start with you.
I think that since I've been mayor, the relationship with the police department and the community has improved. I talk to them, they go to training, and I think I give them a hairy eyeball that they know they're not going to do that. However, we need also the public's accountability along with police professionalism. I don't know about you, but when I'm pulled over by a police officer, my first question is, what did I do wrong? They're not just pulling me over. I'm like, I know I did something. And that's just my reaction. But I think it's a duty of respect between each and not fearing one or the other. Now, maybe we did have some issues, but I think they've been corrected, hopefully. And where am I on time? 1 minute, ooh. And I think it's just building respect between the community and the police. One of the things we do in August is have National Night Out. Please come down, and that way you can interact with the police department. Also, I have started holding office hours on campus, and I'm going to increase those. And our new officer in charge, Sergeant Evans, has decided to come with me so you can meet him, bring your concerns and what your issues are, and we can meet and talk together and foster that relationship with the college. Because I have to say this, being a native of Gettysburg, I love Gettysburg College, and I'm going to just put a plug in. My husband went here, and he graduated magna cum laude. So I like Gettysburg College.
As I've already said, I believe that, and as our second speaker mentioned, she quoted the part of the Commonwealth of PA, Pennsylvania Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Borough Code. The only word that was different in there is officer versus manager. So it is in there. It can be done. It can be done without home rule. I'm not opposed to home rule. I absolutely think that we should be listening to residents. And again, that is why I ran 3 years ago, and that's why I'm still running again. I do not feel that things have changed in the last 3 years. So it is specifically in regards to the Department of Police here at the Gettysburg Borough. I believe that oversight and transparency can be better with a council of 7 than with 1. And I applaud the good work that our officer in charge, Sergeant Evans, has been doing since he's been in that position. We are still looking for a new chief. I wish the last chief I wish him well. I wish him well. But I am glad that he is no longer in the borough of Gettysburg. Thank you.
The next question is about economic development and the tax base. Gettysburg's historic character is central to our identity and economy, but some residents worry that new development could compromise that character, while others stress the need for growth to strengthen the local economy and tax base. As mayor, how would you balance preserving Gettysburg's historic identity with promoting responsible economic development that benefits all the residents year-round? Councilman Carr.
Thank you. Yes, our economic development is a tough one because we're in such a small borough. And if you're not aware, we have a very limited number of properties that are actually taxable. There's a large percentage of the borough that is the National Park Service, if you weren't aware, and it's not taxable. We have a whole lot of tourists that come to town, and we have a very small percentage of that pillow tax. Very small percentage that comes to the borough of Gettysburg. Yet that is where all of the tourists are coming. So our town does take a beating. I believe that smart growth that attracts businesses and encourages young families to settle here will influence some economic development and our tax base. But I feel like we need to really listen to reach out to our community's partners and really try to create strong economic balance, strong economics without overburdening residents. That is a balance that we have to work towards while protecting the historic nature of Gettysburg, of course. But we are now going into the year 2026, and we've got to think forward. How can we bring in more people to Gettysburg that are tax-paying residents and more businesses as well? Thank you.
I could be wrong on this, but the last time I knew, the National Park Service, most of the property is outside of Gettysburg. It surrounds Gettysburg, and that's one of the reasons why we can't expand. Now, as for bringing in economics, I think we should look at some of the buildings, like the one I used to go to school at, St. Francis. Why aren't we bringing business incubators in here? The library is getting ready to be vacant. Couldn't that be a business incubator? And we need to have more jobs that attract young people, like you college students, that want to stay here. And that's a community plan that we can all get together on. And I'm going to switch backwards, if I may. And I forgot to say this. About this mayor and the police thing, what if the governor took over the state, but gave the state police to the General Assembly? And what if the president gave our armed forces over to our elected assembly?
Councilman Carr, would you like an additional minute?
No, thank you.
The next question is about affordable housing. Gettysburg has experienced rising housing costs, making it challenging for many working families, young professionals, and seniors on fixed incomes to find affordable homes. At the same time, preserving our town's historic character that we were already referencing and local economy is very important to the residents. If elected mayor or retaining your seat as mayor, what specific steps would you take to increase affordable housing options that are within your purview in Gettysburg while balancing the need to protect our historic identity and support local businesses? Yes, it's you. Sorry.
Sorry. One of the things I think that people don't realize, there are a lot of resources out there for people to buy homes. One is the Pennsylvania Housing and Finance Association. They will give you money and help you buy homes, even if you have a low credit rating. So I think we need to look at other resources that are out there that can help people. Housing is expensive in Gettysburg, and I'll candidly say this. If my aunt, who I took care of, that had Alzheimer's, hadn't left me her home, I couldn't live here. And the taxes are killing me too. So I think we need to find a way that we can get homes and get people to buy their own homes through agencies and maybe banking programs that people aren't aware of. Because I think if you ask, you have to ask to find out. But I like the Pennsylvania Housing and Finance Agency. Anybody here heard it? Yeah, they'll help you. They'll help you with the down payment. And they'll help you with banking finance. So there's a lot of ways that you can get home ownership. And Gettysburg is very expensive to live in. But this is not an issue that is just contained in Gettysburg. You go down the road to Frederick, they have the same issues. So maybe if we as communities can get together and talk about this, we can find solutions that can help all of our residents. Thank you.
Before I was elected to council, I introduced something called the Non-Discrimination Ordinance. It is very special for Gettysburg Borough, and we are grateful for it, and I am thankful for the past council that unanimously enacted that. It protects people from housing discrimination. I respect the character of our town, and I know that we need to balance growth with preservation. I will always support responsible, responsible, inclusive housing policies that keep Gettysburg livable without losing what makes Gettysburg unique. But just an example, our local service industry are very, very hard workers. If you visited any of our local service industry, our local small business shops and restaurants, these are hardworking people. We are in a tourism town. We will not survive without our local service industry. We need our local service industry workers to be able to afford and live here and walk to work. So I would love to be able to work with the Adams County Economic Alliance, At Homes Adams County, and the council and other partners for incentives for future developers so that we can help property owners create more housing in downtown Gettysburg where it is needed most. Thank you.
This fourth question is about general policy perspective. To what extent, and Councilman Carr, you'll lead the first response on this one. To what extent do your policies and proposals align with the party ticket on which you are running? And to what extent do you think party affiliation is important in this mayoral election?
Much of my work, if you don't know much about me, much of my work is centered on building community. You can check out my website, chadalancarmayor.com. Yes, my name does have a hyphen in it. I also have social media platforms under my name as well. But much of my work is centered on building community. The goal is to listen and stay approachable and address concerns with transparency and care. I believe that those are qualities that most align. No disrespect to my friends and colleagues that are Republican, but those qualities, in my opinion, most align with the Democratic Party, which is why I respect people's time and the election processes and values to which we hold dear, which is why when I lost the primary election 3 years ago, I respectfully and immediately conceded the loss to the opponent, because that's how a primary election is supposed to be done, and I respect my party. As I said, my goal is to listen and stay approachable and address concerns in transparency and care. I believe that those are the qualities of the Democratic Party, and which is why I am glad to be the Democratic primary nominee, having won the primary. Thank you for your time.
I lost the Democratic primary by a slim margin of 31 votes. The Republicans wrote me in. If those people took time to vote me in, I'm not going to ignore them. I have worked for Democrats and Republicans, and I want to reach out to the independents. Unity means we're all in this together. That's Democrats, Republicans, and also independents. And that's the way I feel. I've always felt that way. I grew up in a home where my father was a Republican and my mother was a Democrat. So I understand both sides of the story. I remember sitting on my father's lap watching Watergate. So I just have a different viewpoint. I grew up down the road from Dwight D. Eisenhower. It was close. So I just have a different way of looking at it. I think we're all in it together. We should all come to some kind of consensus and collaboration that benefits the community and all of our opinions and feelings. Now, are we all going to get along? No. And I applaud you for the human relations thing, but that's been in Harrisburg for years. And I'm glad it's part of Gettysburg. The Human Relations Commission has been in Harrisburg for years, and I'm proud to say I knew one of the first directors, Homer Floyd. So it's just the way I think we need to stop the polarization in our country and come together as Gettysburg, and as I said, to show them how at the Peace Light, which is outside of Gettysburg, it symbolized our nation coming back together after the Civil War. Very brilliant part of our history, but that memorial's made of Maine, I think Indiana, Bob corrected me, Indiana stone and Georgia stone. It shows that our nation came together here in Gettysburg, and I really believe in my heart we can do it again.
Councilman Carr, would you like to respond to the point about the Human Rights Committee?
I'll respond to that. It is great that the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission is in Harrisburg and has been. That has nothing to do with the borough of Gettysburg specifically, because the borough of Gettysburg non-discrimination ordinance protects equally, is inclusive for protecting discrimination against for housing, employment, and public accommodations on the nature of sexual orientation, gender identity. While the PA Human Relations Commission is wonderful, they are not helping specifically with the borough of Gettysburg like this non-discrimination ordinance is. I'd also like to point out that yes, you did lose this primary by 31 votes, and 3 years ago I lost you by less. And I conceded immediately.
But you weren't written in by a group of people.
Oh, I'm very well aware.
Well, yep. You weren't written in by a group of people that I am just not going to ignore.
The final formal question for the evening speaks to your larger perception of the role of the mayor of Gettysburg. As we heard from Dr. Safapur, the borough of Gettysburg has a form of government in which the mayor's role is more limited than in some larger cities. As mayor, how do you see your responsibilities in shaping policy, providing leadership, and representing the community? And what would you do to make the most of the position's influence to benefit residents? And it's to you. Yes, Mayor Frealing.
The borough of Gettysburg mayor has limited responsibilities other than oversight of the police department. But you serve as an ambassador for Gettysburg to make people aware of what we have here. And yes, I'm going to say it. I was a high school cheerleader here, and I was a Penn State cheerleader here, and I know how to promote things and keep it going. Just like I went to the Rotary Club meeting the other day, I talked with people from foreign countries who want to get groups from their countries to come here, and that will increase tourism and make people know. I go out to events. I want people to know about how wonderful Gettysburg is, what you can do here, things to do, how it's just a wonderful place to live. And somebody at a borough council meeting said, and I wanted to applaud him, that people come to Gettysburg because it's quiet, it's laid back. It's not a city. It is not a state college. It is not Chambersburg. People come here because of our quaintness and the importance of our history. The 250th anniversary of our nation is coming up, and I don't know who to attribute it to, but it is a Gettysburg saying, and I still think it's Nick Milagikis, but other people have told me. Always remember, the Union was born in Philadelphia, but it was preserved in Gettysburg.
As has been mentioned, yes, the mayor's role here in the borough of Gettysburg is somewhat limited. It's what we call, with the Commonwealth of PA, a weak mayor system. Now, that's not really to say that anyone that has been in that position is a weak person. It's just a weak mayor system, strong council system. But I do believe that the role of the mayor is and should be a champion for the town. And yes, that absolutely includes everyone. Once elected, absolutely, that includes everyone, no matter the party, no matter if Republican, Democrat, Independent, or even those that choose not to vote at all, because that is their right. That is their right. But I believe that the mayor could be a champion for everyone, and listening to everyone is very important, and that's why I am very proud to be listening to those of my party that made their voice heard at the primary, and I'm thrilled to be their elected nominee. My experience in creating the many things that I have created here in Gettysburg Borough since moving here in 2009 with the Gettysburg Community Theater, with Gettysburg Pride incorporated in their annual festival, about to enter its 10th year. All of these things before running for office that I helped create for this town, I did it for the love of the town and because I was listening to people that wanted something like that here in the borough. I believe that is exactly what needs to happen with the mayor, listening to what people want here in the borough. Thank you.
Thank you both very much. This concludes the formal question and answer period. We'll now move into audience Q&A. You may raise your hand and be heard, and if you would like a microphone, me nor you would bring it over to you. We have a question over there. As a few people have to leave, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the community media and Gettysburg Times for being here.
A little bit about the built environment of Gettysburg. I'd like to ask about the natural features here. Would you support efforts to return the streams of Gettysburg to running year-round? But I think that originally they ran, and I'm told that there were accounts 75 years ago of people catching a full limit of trout in the Tiber.
Streams. I apologize, I didn't hear it.
Yes, sorry.
The streams.
The streams of Gettysburg. They're getting the water to run year-round, which means slowing it down, retaining it, not rushing it out of town when it falls. Thank you.
Am I first?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for that question. That's the first time I've ever heard that, and I'd love to talk to more folks more knowledgeable about that, such as our borough engineer and our public works department. But I don't see right away a reason why it couldn't. We do have some stormwater management issues, if you're not aware of the borough. But I mean, I can't think of a reason why that wouldn't be possible, but I'd love to hear more about that.
I would like to hear more about that too, because you have to worry about the infrastructure and the walls that are around those streams. But I would also consult with the Public Works Director, and Carlisle has streams running through it. Are you aware of that? I live beside one. So that's one other thing, and I would like to bring this up, completely off of streams in Gettysburg. Have you seen Nature's Little Engineers and the work they're doing at the bottom of Little Round Top? There are dams and water running there. And I think it's so appropriate because Governor Warren, who's known as the savior of Little Round Top, was an engineer. So they're down there doing their nature's work. That's my humor.
It's clear, let me get back to the governance of the police department. And it's clear that both candidates, one view it reporting to one person and the other one reporting to 7 people. My question is, in terms of governance, should there be a civilian review board so that the public has a say in the conduct of the police department?
I gathered information on that because I had other people ask me than that, and I have the statute in Harrisburg that people got together, and I will share it with you, about a civilian review board. But it just kind of fell through the cracks. But no, I have Harrisburg statute because they do. It's not just something you can do, like you have to, once again, have committees and people's input. And I have the ordinance that was passed in Harrisburg. Yes. Yes, if everybody, depends on how the electorate at large feel. Your thoughts on it?
My thoughts?
Yeah, I'm listening to you too.
But, well, let's
Okay.
allow the other candidate to
Okay.
respond in before we move into that.
I think it's a great idea. The Borough of Gettysburg, if you are not aware, has many authorities, boards, and commissions. These are all volunteers for that, the majority of which live in the borough and or work in the borough. And there is an application process on our website for these authority boards and commissions. They are interviewed and appointed by the council. I am in favor of a civilian review board. Now, that's not to say that this is that this would be volunteers that would review every single arrest or anything to that nature. But it is important that we remember that our police department are here to protect and serve the public, and the public is specifically our tax-paying residents, our tourists, and our everyone that works here. So I am in favor of a civilian review board to join our authorities, boards, and commissions.
Regarding the difference in management of police department, one, they report to the committee, the other one, they just report to the mayor. So imagine if there were an emergency scenario, like some sort of like emergency within Gettysburg, how would this impact how the police responds? Like would the committee need to all get together and then vote, and then whether they, have the police intervene in say, some sort of emergency versus just the mayor being able to make the decision unilaterally? Can you, both of you, expand on that?
Councilman Carr.
You want me to go first? Okay. Thank you for that question. So currently, how it exists is the Department of Police report to the mayor, and any emergency would be stated by the mayor. The mayor works closely in such emergencies, such as a winter storm emergency, for example. That's not the only kind of emergency, but that's typically the one that comes up most. The mayor works closely with the borough manager on that specifically. I would see that as if the police department were to go to reporting to the 7 elected council. And by the way, as was mentioned before, that 7 elected council has to accept that. They have to agree to take on the quote-unquote oversight of the day-to-day operations of that department like they do for all of the other departments in the borough. But I would see that specific thing being a policy and procedure specific, that would be created probably where the mayor and the borough manager would still indeed be calling the emergency together.
If the mayor no longer has oversight of the police department, I wouldn't be part of the emergency management. That's one of the first things the mayor would do. And I personally feel that if there's an emergency, how are you going to get 7 people together? One may be out on vacation, one may be somewhere else. If the mayor's here, that's one person. And this has been something that has been in place for years in Gettysburg. Ever since we were a Burgess. The mayor used to be called a Burgess. And I can't see the need to change it now. It just does not make any sense to me. And I just feel it's state law. Fact is, I have some state law stuff here I can hand out if anybody wants to see it and read it. But I think 1 is better than 7.
You mentioned that small business owners is the backbone of the borough. With that being said, a person comes to town, they either buy or rent a building to start a small business. It takes typically 6 months to 2 years with permits and everything to get that business up and running. That very special day is a ribbon cutting in which you invite the mayor to come and do a ribbon cutting. You have the newspaper come. It's your big day. You spend all this time and hard work. What is your backup plan if you can't make it to that ribbon cutting? That's my question. What do you do? You're the one there representing the small business who is the backbone of the business. They spend all those months creating that business to get it ready for their big day, and the mayor doesn't show. Do you have a backup plan for that?
Mayor Freeling.
Well, the president of borough council could go, or you could send somebody else. I've gone to 2 ribbon cuttings so far when I've been here. And one was just for the Jenny Wade Museum that opened up, and the other one was for an oncology center that was outside of town. So I think there should be, John, I agree with you, there should be a backup plan. Thank you.
Absolutely. As a small business owner, you put so much. You jump through hoops, and I'm very well aware of, as being on council, I'm very well aware of all of the permits and the just the things that you have to do within the borough, let alone all of the things that you have to do as a small business owner on your own within your walls to get ready for that opening day, which is very important for you. Having a career in theater, I know how important opening night can be. That being said, things do come up. As mayor, I would certainly try to make sure that I am at every single ribbon cutting that I could be, especially if I'm handing over the police department to 7 elected officials, and I'm going to have a little bit more time to focus on our small business community and our residents. But yes, in case things come up, if I have COVID, I'm not coming to your ribbon cutting, but my first phone call would be to you, and my second phone call would be to any of the 7 council colleagues to get there for you. And I would hope also that already the folks that would be there would be folks like Main Street Gettysburg, the Chamber of Commerce, Gettysburg Area Retail Merchant Association. But yeah, things do come up. I understand that. But great question. Thank you.
Hi, you both talked about the need to balance historic preservation with the need for the community to grow the tax base and increase affordable housing and economic opportunities. And I'm wondering how your views specifically on the station project would, on one hand, I hear that it's a done deal, and then on the other hand, I see these signs all over the place to stop it, and I'm wondering what your views are on that.
My turn. Is that correct? Okay. Thank you for the question. Yes, if you're not aware of the gravel lot that has been there for over a decade. I understand that has been a hot topic in the borough for many years, and it should be a hot topic in the borough because it's been going on for well over a decade. The council prior to either one of us being elected, the council set in motion over a decade ago what, if anything, would be developed on that lot. They had to jump through a lot of hoops, as we've just heard about small businesses that have to do a lot of hoops and permits just to get something there. I'm sorry to say that ship has sailed, but at the same time, and I would like to say that the council doesn't have final say in the borough of Gettysburg on development. We're the only borough in all of Adams County, thank you. We're the only borough in all of Adams County that the council doesn't have final say in development. Planning Commission has final say over new development. Does it come to council for what could be there? Yes, it did. It came to council over 10 years ago. They set up, you got to do this, and it could be that. There's a lot of rumors going around that about, a lot of, thank you, 30 seconds. I'll wrap it up. We'll put the rumors over here. I'll wrap it up. Our borough is very small. We can grow up. There's very limited space to grow out. Think about it. We can grow up and bring in more taxable income. I would like to see somebody else bring me something to the council that says that this project or any project could bring in more than $150,000 in additional tax revenue to the borough of Gettysburg. The station project is doing that. The county is getting more, and so is the school district. Thank you.
This property is owned by Timothy Harrison of Staten Island, so the borough has limited impact on it at this moment. His plans were approved by the Historical Architectural Review Board and then by Borough Council in December of 2024. Now the Land Department is looking over the plan, and he has to meet all of his obligations. So I don't know if I would consider it a done deal until all the obligations are met.
Time for one more question.
I have a couple questions. Actually, I'll make them quick. Why can't the Borough Council be the final arbiter when it comes to development plans instead of the Planning Commission? Therefore, accountability would be with the elected officials. And I wonder about the issue of fiscal impact analyses. I know that having an understanding of that, what are your thoughts on that regarding development so that there'll be a clear understanding of what the long-term impacts are and what the benefits are. Now, the impacts are schools, roads, parks, libraries, the whole 9 yards. The benefit is the income, but will it balance out? And you really don't know unless you do an impact analysis, and the public won't know because one hasn't been done. Your thoughts?
That's a council question.
You can decide.
No, the mayor has no power over that, and actually Borough Council has more power over what goes on in Gettysburg than the mayor. I think this whole issue with the mayor is about control of the police department. You can answer.
So I'll try to answer your question there. I think the question was why can't the council? Well, it could. But a whole ordinance, the ordinance would have to be rewritten. The reason why it is what it is right now is that ordinance was in place, and I believe that ordinance was written in the 80s. I could be wrong, but that is what it is. It's the only, we're the only borough that in all of Adams County where final say is Planning Commission, not, I don't disagree with you there. I believe that all of our authorities, boards, and commissions should be reporting back. And they do report back, but I believe the elected council speak for the people because they were elected, and they should have the final say. That being said, in regards to the topic of the station project, I think that's going to be breaking ground before an ordinance would even possibly be written. Yeah. But for future development, it is an interesting question. It wasn't always that way. Like I said, I could be wrong. I think it was the 80s when that current ordinance was written, where Planning Commission has the final say on future development. But you are absolutely correct. I believe the council should have final say for future development. There was a second question in there, but I think I might be out of time.
It was actually the fiscal impact analysis
Yes.
approach. Would I have the opportunity maybe to make one quick change to that question? In other words, that is Chapter 11 in the Historic District. There's a clause in there which says contemporary design is encouraged for both existing, and in the second section, contemporary design is encouraged for new development. Could that maybe be modified to say that at least the period-specific historic architecture could be the principal determinant, with contemporary being a backup?
Let's take 30 seconds apiece because we are at time, out of respect for everyone else's time.
Sure.
Thank you.
That is, again, that's a great question. I'm not sure that lies anywhere near the purview of the mayor. However, as I said before, the mayor should be listening to every constituent, whether they are a visitor or a resident. So thank you for the question, and we can have more dialogue after this session about it. But I would lean on the professionals in such a thing, in such a topic, which would be the Historic Architecture Review Board and the Planning Commission. They have much more knowledge about that type of thing than I do. Thank you. Time expired.
Go ahead.
I look at it this way. Gettysburg is not State College. State College has built up. State College has a population of residents of 40,000 people, and they have 46,000 college students. And as I said, housing is a condition everywhere. But in Gettysburg, it's our history. And I don't think we need to forget our history and how much it means. And why go up when Carlisle, they just had time expired. Carlisle Streets, and there are other places around here where you can build. What about the ag building, which the college built? Would they be willing to relinquish that? And that's it, I'm done.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a hand to both candidates, to Mayor Rita Frealing and to Councilmember Chad Allen. I am Tracy Potts. I'm the Executive Director of the Eisenhower Institute. Dr. Dowds introduced me earlier. First of all, I want to thank all of you for being here. The candidates are here, and we've had an interesting and thorough and robust discussion, but what's really important is that you are here. Two things that the Eisenhower Institute stands for and spends a lot of time really focusing on with our students, our civil discourse, and community engagement and civic engagement. And I think we have achieved both of those tonight. It matters that you're here. It matters that you care about what happens in your community, and I want to thank you for that. And I also want to ask you not to leave, because we are not done. While we talked about a number of things tonight, we are going to dig much deeper into education, which is so critical because it's important to all of the things that we talked about tonight, to development of our community, to economic development, and so many other things. So we want to thank you so much for being here, and we hope that you will stay and enjoy the rest of our forum this evening.
So much for making my job this semester easier.
For those of you who vote on campus, the voting will still be in Cub, just in a different space. I got to take these off, or I'm going to not be able to see for a few minutes. Hey, how are you? Good to see you. Thanks for coming. Oh, you need a car. You got bribed into coming. I love it. Everyone does. Good, thank you. Card? You get a card? You take a card? All right. You should get two. I should, yeah. We will reconvene in 10 minutes. Yeah, 8 minutes. Nope, same thing. Just a little bit more. Okay, I'm sorry. Right. I mean, I think you should ask her. So yeah, I go ask both of them. Yeah. Hey, just no. No, you, the timers are going to be okay, thank you, because I do need someone in the mic, too. But no, it's late. Trust me. I'll be at the 5 running. Yeah, have a good night. Nana. Here's the mayor right here. Yeah, you should get a picture if you want separately, like a small group photo.
Is it behind? Behind?
Good? Okay, thank you. Good evening. We are ready to begin forum number 2 for our evening. For those of you who are just joining us, welcome. On behalf of Tracy Potts, the Executive Director of the Eisenhower Institute, and myself, Annie Dowles of the Public Policy Department, I welcome you to tonight's forum for the 2 gentlemen running in the special election for the seat on Gettysburg Area School District School Board, Mark Hopkins and Ryan Kerney. We're delighted to see so many campus and community members here for this important event. We thank the Eisenhower Institute, in particular Ann Wofford and Diane Brennan. Thank you so much for all of your support. The Public Policy Department, faculty and staff, my department. The Political Science Department, faculty and staff. The Patrick Henry Debate Society, who are running our timing for this evening. The Pre-Law Club, the College Democrats, and the College Republicans. We also welcome community media and the Gettysburg Times, who are all here supporting us. Thank you. Before we begin the programming, I will review the rules that have been pre-approved by the candidates. Each candidate will have a 2-minute opportunity to give a 2-minute opening statement before we move into formal questions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer each question, and the candidates will alternate being the first one to answer the question, going in order of their first letter of their first name. If you were here for the other forum, we went by last name, now we're going by first name. If a candidate specifically mentions the other candidate by name or topic, then that candidate will have 1 minute for rebuttal. No interruptions of the candidate's remarks will be tolerated, either by the other candidate or the audience members. However, the audience is welcome to applaud if they choose to do so at the end of each section of remarks. There will be no partisan signage, comments, or outbursts of any kind. Timing will be conducted, like I said, by the Patrick Henry Debate Society with cue cards at 1 minute, 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and time. We've already had a good round of practice on that. I will interrupt the candidate at the time card, but I will allow them to finish their sentence. We will begin our forum tonight with a 2-minute explanation about the nature of the special election from Dr. Alana Safapour from the Political Science Department, followed by opening remarks. We will then move into formal questions, and then we will leave 15 minutes at the end for questions from the audience. Alana?
Good evening again. So this November, voters will select 4 individuals for at-large seats on the Gettysburg Area School Board. And in addition to those seats, voters will also select between candidates Mark Hopkins and candidate Ryan Kerney for a special election seat on the school board. All positions for school board are unpaid, and the individuals who run and serve on them are doing so as volunteers. Special elections are used to fill positions that become vacant due to unplanned events, typically either resignations or deaths of elected officials. Now, these elections are special because they occur outside of the regular cycle of elected offices. And that means that the terms in office are typically different because the individual who's selected will complete the term of the outgoing elected official. This special election carries a 2-year term. School board members in Pennsylvania play a critical role in child education. They do everything from establishing policies and school curriculum, adopting textbooks, hiring and evaluating the superintendent and teachers, to ensuring that our schools have adequate resources. School board members are the community's representatives in making decisions that directly impact the quality of education that our children receive. Now, even if you don't personally have children attending Gettysburg area schools, the decision of who sits on our school board still impacts you considerably. Under Pennsylvania law, local school boards are responsible for levying taxes to fund our schools. They have the authority to collect a combination of property, per capita, occupation, and income taxes in order to achieve this goal. And as every homeowner in the room likely already knows, the quality of our local schools has a profound impact on the value of our homes, and by extension, individual homeowners' economic futures. So good schools don't just mean a brighter future for our children, they also mean a brighter economic future for our entire community. And with that brief background, I'd like to now invite the candidates to deliver their opening statements, beginning with Mark Hopkins.
Sure, thank you. Okay, my name is Mark Hopkins. I don't think I need the microphone. Hope not. Okay, no relation to the Matt Hopkins, whose name has appeared on posters and flyers and social media websites. I'm a 26-year retired combat veteran with a master's degree in education from Washington State University and a master's degree from Penn State University. My wife and I have lived in Gettysburg almost 10 years now. We raised 5 children who attended both public and private K through 12 schools, as well as all 5 children attending public and private universities. I believe in quality education for all students, regardless of status, and the elimination of indoctrination of impressionable young minds. Children's minds, they're like a liver. It can absorb all types of information and filter out the impurities and toxins that cause lasting damage. Children have the right to be children without adult persuasion or indoctrination. Let our children learn the basics before being subjected to social engineering and special interest groups. Let common sense prevail. Thank you.
So, hello everybody, my name is Ryan Kerney. I'm a father of 4 kids that are currently in or have just graduated from the Gettysburg Area School District system. I'm a biologist who teaches here at the college, and I also do a lot of science outreach to our local schools, including within the Gettysburg Area School District. My wife and I have a farmstead with animals and a large garden, but we mostly focus on the cultivation of our own children and are thankful for the schools that have helped us with this difficult task. I should say, as an employee of Gettysburg College, that I am running as an individual and member of the community, and my views are not reflective of or in any way representative of the institution, the college itself. It's customary to thank organizers of this type of event. However, I think that this particular Democracy Week feels a little bit more consequential than most. This is in no small part because of the recent assassination of Charlie Kirk. My wife asked me in earnest if volunteering for the school board was worth the risk of coming out this evening. Just this past weekend on Facebook, we saw a commentator on Borough event call for a second civil war. That threat of violence is genuinely scary. This town knows something about civil wars. Sadly and ironically, we seem to remember more what was said here in Lincoln's speech than what they actually did here to preserve the Union. I don't agree with most of Charlie Kirk's messages, but I do respect that method. Debating issues on college campus should not be a life-threatening activity. It takes guts for our organizers to see this event through, which is hopefully playing out for other races for school boards around the country. So thank you to them for this commitment to democracy. And thank you also to my neighbor for running. While this is the first time that we have met, I'm certain that we have our own perspectives on many topics as they relate to the school board. However, I'm also certain that we are both confident that a healthy debate is better than online vitriol.
Thank you. The first question is a general one about your qualifications for serving on the school board. Could you please share a little bit about your formal and informal qualifications to serve on the board, and more broadly, your engagement with the K-12 community, including any experience you have working or volunteering in the schools, engaging in experiential learning opportunities, and that kind of thing?
Thank you. So my qualifications for running for the school board is that I'm an educator of 26 years. I have taught from middle school through medical school and have taught here at the college in the biology department for the last 12 years. As I mentioned, I have 4 kids in the school district, one of whom has just graduated, and we have worked very closely with their teachers over the last 12 years. I also run an outreach program that lends scientific equipment to local schools within South Central Pennsylvania, and through that work have gotten to know many of the teachers within our district from K through 12 grades. As part of that program, we have just closed out a 3-year, $300,000 grant, which was funded from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, where we paid our teachers to develop lesson plans and to develop something called an environmental literacy plan that applies to Adams County in particular. They worked with regional partners and with their schools and also district colleagues in order to come up with new lessons and a plan for our schools that aligns with our new state science and environmental literacy standards, which were just adopted this last year. I volunteered for the design of those standards for the State Department of Education, and I also have volunteered for our schools in pretty much every imaginable capacity, from planting trees, planting gardens, going on field trips, junior achievement, judging the debate team, which was very interesting, and the list goes on and on. So I just see this opportunity to run for the school board as the next logical progression in my volunteer activities for these local schools.
Okay, my qualifications are not that quite verbose. But besides being an honest and nice guy, my qualifications include a master's degree in education administration. I served 2 years as a K-12 substitute teacher, volunteered and participated in numerous parent-teacher organizations and K-12 extracurricular, scholastic, and sporting events. I was active in establishing several computer labs when computers were just becoming available for access in the K-12. That's it, sorry.
Thank you. The next question is about budget and finance. We'll start with you, Mark. How do you propose to address recent cuts in federal funding? What specific budget adjustments or revenue-generating strategies would you support in response to those cuts?
I would propose addressing recent cuts in federal funding by reviewing other programs or resources in the current fiscal year budget that may have more funds needed to effectively run the programs and reallocate those funds to other programs. Now, let's keep in mind that federal funding is only 2% of the budget. The state and local budget takes up the other 98%. Okay, I would support budget adjustments and revenue-generating strategies that focus on maintaining educational excellence, as well as driving initiatives that would provide a continuing stream of future funding for the school district. Because community engagement is extremely important for revenue-generating mechanisms and should be a top priority for every school district.
So the federal budget cuts are one concerning topic among several in terms of issues that our schools are currently facing. The U.S. Congress allotted in March for there to be Title I through IV funding to our schools, and then pulled through rescission Titles II through IV in early July, just before that money was about to be released. While allegedly the Office of Management and Budget has said that those funds are coming through, the website for the Gettysburg Area School District says that they're frozen as of today. This money is important. While not a huge percentage of our budget, they do fund teacher professional development, funding for English language learners, and importantly, expenses to promote school safety and provide staff training for crisis intervention and prevention. More importantly is that the U.S. Congress just passed last week a budget that was supported by our own John Joyce, which has significant cuts to the Title I funding. Title I is a more general fund that supports low-income schools. All three of our elementary schools within the district qualify as Title I schools because they have 40% or more students that are on low incomes. If this 27% cut goes through, which is likely, then those schools will be seeing, our budget will be seeing potentially out of the $836,000 that we get for Title I funding, a $226,000 reduction. More importantly than the federal right now is the current state budget impasse. There are several districts around the state that are needing to dig into their unassigned funds or even pull up bonds in order to cover their operating costs. We should know that our state senator is promoting for there to be an abolition of property taxes, which sounds great on the surface, but that would mean that all of our school funding would potentially be subject to these whims of Harrisburg.
Next question is about curriculum. Ryan, you'll go first on this one. What is your stance on the balance between core content knowledge, such as history, science, and math, and vocational or career and technical education?
This is a terrific question. I am a biologist. I work on questions of the life sciences. I train students to go off into careers in research and medicine, to work in environmental policy, and also in many different scopes within the life sciences. I believe very strongly in the brick and mortar guts of our education system and the classic topics such as biology, history, chemistry, and the social sciences. That being said, I can appreciate very much the importance of vocational training as it exists within our district right now. Not all of our students in the Gettysburg area high school are destined for college, and a lot of them benefit from the existing trades instruction that they get in their junior and senior years through the Adams County Technical Institute. A hot topic for the current school budget, as we just raised taxes by 1% in order to fund our portion of the Adams County Technical Institute. This needs some clever funding and positioning in order to be effectively supported by our district and other participating districts within the county. It is a top priority of mine to see the success of this program, as I believe it adds real value to our students, and I speak from firsthand experience.
Okay, my stance on the balance between core content and vocational or career and technical education is common sense. Core content is extremely important for educational development, and every student should have access to and be required to meet minimal, measurable requirements. Vocational and career and technical education is also an important pathway for those choosing not to attend traditional college institutions but wish to pursue another career path. In my opinion, every student should be required to participate in vocational or career and technical education course to receive a well-balanced experience in career plan exploration.
Next question about community relations. How do you plan to actively engage parents, community members, and taxpayers in the district's decision-making processes?
First and foremost, community relations should be unbiased and nonpartisan. Say that again, unbiased and nonpartisan. Attending community college or attending community meetings is a great way to engage the community and receive input that may not otherwise be voiced in another forum. Parents should always be encouraged to voice concerns or praise for their children without fear of retaliation or revenge from other community members. Support for quality education and student learning objectives should be paramount to any discussion with community members. If seeking funding from the community, members will be more engaged if they interpret the school district as being a welcoming environment for teacher, student, and parent engagement.
Thank you. Our school board meetings for the Gettysburg Area School District all kick off with the Pledge of Allegiance and with its director, Ken Hassinger, reminding everybody that while these are open to the public, they're not public meetings. And so we'll see it time and again where people will say that they have something to say to the board, they will stand up and present their view, and it will be summarily acknowledged and ignored in terms of any response to their perspective that they're bringing to bear. Now, it is possible to contact our board members through email, and it's much more likely that you'll get a meaningful response through doing so. However, we've seen a lack of transparency and accountability from many elected officials within the county, which are failing to hold town halls and confront their constituents. This also applies to our school boards, and I feel that it is beholden on the school board to also confront their constituents, or at least engage with them through an open forum in order to have a meaningful dialogue about the issues that their constituents are concerned about. Many of these are taxes, property taxes in particular, but also issues of the quality and content of instruction that is being given to their children through those schools. Our school board should not be insulated from direct community engagement.
Next, as you both know, the superintendent has stated 4 goals in his first 100-day plan that is posted at the Gettysburg Area School District website. What do you think you and the school board as a whole can and should do with respect to the new goals, in particular the one to strengthen organizational efficiency and culture?
So there is a dashboard that they're promoting as part of the new comprehensive plan, which is helping to bring on all student information as they run through the entirety of the K through 12 engagement with the Gettysburg Area School District. This includes extracurriculars, sports, the classes they've taken, the grades that they have, as well as information about their goals and aspirations academically and professionally. This dashboard appears to be working, but it's still early days and is one of the many things that the new superintendent has put in as a strategy for improving organizational efficiency. Organizational efficiency requires attention to the personnel within the district. In particular, in my perspective, the teachers. I feel that having a stronger relationship between the administration and the academic staff is paramount, and I feel that our current board has spent too much time focusing on improvements to athletics infrastructure and to questioning the rehiring of coaches, which has made its way to our local papers over the last couple of years to the detriment of more meaningful pursuits that our board could have been pursuing.
I fully support the district superintendent's goals as related through his 100-day plan. Engaging students, teachers, and community is a win-win for everyone. Knowing the players is half the battle. Understanding the key personnel involved in a situation is the most significant and crucial step to achieving success. Strengthening organizational efficiency and culture is an ongoing process that should never be taken lightly. Continuously looking inward can effectively change one's perception as well as provide insight for improvement. Collaborative efforts with the organization will ultimately provide positive input with lasting results.
Thank you. And final of the formal questions, beyond addressing the federal funding gap that we already discussed, what are your broader budget priorities? What areas would you consider for cuts, and what would you protect from cuts? I believe that starts with Mark.
Well, budget priorities are always a concern for school administration and parents. Each year brings budgetary concerns that should not hinder the quality of education provided to our children. Right now, I'm not in the school system, so I'm not in a position to address specific programs that may or may not be affected by budgetary restraints. However, I believe funds could be reallocated between programs if morally and legally applicable.
Our incoming board is going to have pretty significant turnover from the existing board. I agree that we should have a nonpartisan approach. Unfortunately, Pennsylvania is one of 4 states in the country that mandates having partisan school board elections. And it is more of a community-facing and less of a partisan position in terms of the day-to-day operations. Of course, when it comes down to budget, people think that you're pigeonholed based on party affiliation. And when it comes down to budget, school boards do hold the power of the purse in terms of dictating what the tax rate will be for the school property taxes. This is adjusted on an annual basis in order to meet the financial demands of the district, and that property tax accounts for over 2/3 of the operating budget for the school. It is difficult to navigate budgets right now. The One Big Beautiful Bill has the potential to threaten $700 million of the Pennsylvania state budget. That could have significant impacts on our educational offerings. I've already mentioned the reductions to Title I funding, which can have significant impacts on our educational offerings. Our school board is going to need to be informed and exceptionally nimble to prioritize the goals set out in our recent comprehensive plan and the mission and vision statement that we've agreed upon as a community to advance the mission of the school.
Thank you both. We will now move into audience Q&A. Up here, we have
Gettysburg School District, I believe, currently has one African-American high school teacher, a female teacher. What can you suggest to bring more diverse teachers to the school district?
The attraction of diverse teachers to our school district, I think, is of paramount importance. I have 3 recent alumni from Gettysburg Area High School in my biology class right now, and they're all exceptionally different from one another. And reflecting the diversity of our students within the teachers has been shown to be one way to promote the academic excellence of a diverse student body. That being said, we need to also be able to entice teachers to stay and to move to our community. We do have another recent alumni who is currently teaching in the middle school in science, I'm happy to say. And I'm hoping that as the years go by, we're able to encourage and recruit more alumni from Gettysburg College and the surrounding universities, and in doing so, attract a diversity of talent and perspectives to bring to bear within our schools.
I believe in quality, not quantity. Because I can throw out that what was just said equates to black children, Hispanic children, Asian children can only learn with a black, Asian, or Hispanic teacher. And that is not true. Okay, that's another side of, that's another discussion maybe for another time. but it's about quality. Do you want your children to be taught with quality educators or because of the color of their skin or where they come from? Is that truly what you want?
Is it possible to respond?
So I was wondering what you think that the purpose of education is.
Sorry, one more time?
What do you think the purpose of education is?
The purpose of education? I think I went first last time.
Oh, okay, that's fine. The purpose of education is to teach, what, are you talking about children or just in general? Yeah. Back at you. Yes, okay, I got you, don't worry about it. Okay. So education is a platform used to instill skills, whether they're living skills or educational goals, educational skills for everyone, whether you're a child or an adult. And the purpose of that is to move forward because everyone starts life with 0. And whatever you put into that brain is whatever they absorb. And they need to be taught certain things, whether it's in school or at home. So education, whether it's formal or informal, and whomever provides it, is extremely important. But there has to be logic, there has to be common sense, and there has to be gates to determine what they should learn at certain levels. You know, you hit this little phase line here, okay, they need to learn this by the time they're 6, by the time they're 9, by the time they're 12, by the time they're a senior in high school, they need to hit all of those gates. So education as a whole is a great thing. Everybody needs education. Without education, we wouldn't be here, you know, speaking to you, and you wouldn't be asking the questions. So I think education is extremely important for everyone, regardless if you have a severe mental problem, severe physical problem, it needs to be available to everyone. So I'm a firm believer in education, absolutely. I hope that answered some of your question. Yes. Okay.
I just might, from the previous question and in response before getting to the education question, I believe it's a false dichotomy to say that quantity and quality for diversity and quality of instruction are in some ways at opposition with one another. I speak from experience in working with a diverse faculty and knowing that diversity truly is strength when it comes to education, as it does for biology as well. Now, for the question of what is the purpose of education, this is the type of question I think about a lot on like long dog walks, while pondering, you know, sort of not only my goals and aspirations as parents, but also somebody that works a lot in education, teaching children and college students. Sorry. And I would say that my primary goal is to ensure that students are capable of thriving, surviving, operating in an increasingly complex world. We see this world changing, especially in the education space, exceptionally quickly. And forsaking history or forsaking the foundations of knowledge is no way to get to that thriving and surviving position that I expect of my students. It requires an embrace of the new, but also respect for tradition and what has come before. And it is difficult. It is something that requires participation from both those educators, which I agree are very important, as well as from the students themselves. And I've always been blessed by having very earnest and enthusiastic students that agree with me on that perspective.
I'm sorry, real quick. I just checked my own rules. When the final statement that Mark made was a question back to the person asking the question. Did you want to follow up the person sitting here in the black? You, yes. Did you want to follow up to that question from before?
Well, it's been my understanding that children do well when they have someone to emulate. That if you didn't have women teachers, why would young women want to be a teacher? So why can't we have more diverse people into the school system?
And you could each have 1 minute if you would like.
I don't really have a minute response. I just think when you start the dilution, I'll call it, then you open Pandora's box. Okay? A qualified teacher is a qualified teacher is a qualified teacher. Okay? And I understand the personal dynamics involved. And there's a plethora of data that supports both sides. Okay? But to me, it's quality, it's not quantity, because when you do quantity, then you start getting people that you're just checking a block. And I don't think anybody here that has children wants just somebody checking a block. They want somebody who's qualified and able to teach their child the requirements and have the abilities to be successful in life.
And I believe that there are diversified teachers that are qualified. All those qualified, diverse teachers.
Oh, I agree. And if it was up to me, if they were qualified, I don't care. Just put on your blinders, because it makes no difference. And if there's a mechanism that we can discover to entice more qualified minority or other people to be employed, I'm all for that, absolutely. But I just don't support the quantity piece.
Thank you. And given that we had two exchanges there, Ryan, you have 2 minutes to respond.
Sorry,
Oh, thank you. I mean, I somewhat have said my piece, I believe, but I do just want to, again, emphasize that I believe that the two are not at odds, and that it is always beneficial to bring in a diversity of lived experience, perspective, identity into a school, into an educational setting. I sometimes click with some students, and some students sometimes don't click with my class, with my style of instruction. And sometimes I think I'm an okay teacher, but, and I certainly have got the bona fides, but then again, I know that other people are able to work with the diversity of students that we have, and that's true across the boards. We find my own children being inspired and driven by very different teachers that they interact with and encounter over the course of their education at our local schools. And only through diversifying our workforce will we be able to continue to build on that strength.
This is a question specifically for Mr. Hopkins because of what was stated in one of your responses. You said that you would require vocational school for every student at Gettysburg. As it stands, ACTI, which is the technical school at Gettysburg, is during the junior and senior year and pulls students away from their core classes, and those being AP classes normally in those last 2 years. So would you require every student to be enrolled at ACTI or just take some other form of vocational training?
Right. There always has to be an alternative, right? So if you're involved in AP classes, then you're already on a good path. But some people may not have that ability, I'll call it, and therefore if they can be involved in the VOTEC or the CTE classes, that might give them inspiration to find another career path and not just feel that they're just with the herd.
If I might, I mean, it is difficult to think that you're going to be forsaking potentially AP classes. However, and to go a little bit against what I've said earlier, it is discouraging sometimes to meet the physics student that doesn't know righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. As a lifelong enthusiast for power tools, I think that they bring a lot to any educational setting, and that people should learn a skill. They should learn a trade. They should learn to work with their hands, even if they're going to be working at a computer or pushing paper for the rest of their lives. And so I love shop class, and I think that it's not the only dimension of vocational training that should be respected and considered by our students, and that a certain element of it is important in a general education.
Good evening. Mr. Hopkins has stated that he wants to eliminate bias from the school district. I would like to give him to explain what bias he perceives there, because that seems to be one of the planks of his campaign. And also, you're both replacing somebody that vowed never to raise taxes and resigned because she realized she couldn't. Do either of you have any pledges that you want to make to the voters before we cast our vote? Not necessarily about taxes, but about how you will operate as a school board member. Thank you.
Oh, sure.
Since it was a joke.
Yeah.
You want to take?
Yeah, absolutely. I have had I've had quite a few conversations about Cynthia Ayer's decision to drop out of the school board. I find it initially to be abandoning her duties, in that you say that you're going to uphold the office and to respect the procedures of the Gettysburg Area School District. And because she ran for Senate in 2018 in the primary process, I saw this school board position as something of a stepping stone for a political aspiration, and having the stain of raising taxes on that political career was the reason why she decided to opt out. A friend in conversation recently was a little bit more generous in saying that it is somewhat principled to say, well, if I'm going to vow never to raise taxes, then I'll stick to that vow and will bail out of my obligations as a school board. I am not going to vow never to raise taxes. I am a taxpayer, and they hit me in the wallet, and I'm very conscientious about my own property taxes and those of my neighbors. And I certainly wish to explore loads of other funding streams and possible routes to achieving the goals of our district without becoming a sort of tax and spend politician. I would vow that I want to explore new opportunities, that there's a lot going on within education right now, and that I don't hear enough at our school board meetings about the new frontiers in education, including in artificial intelligence, including experiential education, including our new state science standards, including ways to integrate our educational offerings with the community.
Okay. Now, first of all, and don't take us the wrong way, but I'm not running a campaign. Okay, and I know you didn't mean it that way, but yeah, I'm not running a campaign. If you want me to vow for no taxes, sure, you get no taxes, free lawnmower, more recess, less homework, just whatever. But that's the reality is taxes, and it's based on the monies that you get from the federal, state, and local. Your property taxes will go down the more money you receive from those other entities, obviously. But along with those funding, the funding from the other entities, you receive more of that based on your population and how bad you're doing is basically what it is. They give you more money. They're throwing money at the problem. Okay, so if you're doing well, then you're paying for the students to do well. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. I don't think anybody can make a promise, but it was only a slight addition this year from what I was looking at the budget. Okay, they asked for more, didn't get it, so that you're only getting a slight. As far as anything else goes, go ahead.
I was more concerned about you said about bias, and I was wondering what
Right.
bias you perceive.
I haven't been involved in the school. I haven't been involved in the school district, so I don't really know of any specific bias. Those are just comments put out there that it should not be, or that should be nonpartisan and unbiased. Period. Kind of like a line in the sand.
Can you give an example of bias education?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know of any specific, and maybe that's another forum for other additional education questions.
Yeah, we need to allow another person to ask the final question. Ryan, did you want to say anything in response to that? Okay, we're good. All right, we had a question up here.
So I was just wondering, this is mainly a question for Mr. Hopkins. I know you spoke a bit about culture in schools, and I was just wondering what type of culture you were speaking of that would help out the kids in their education.
Don't recall using culture.
I believe that was in the question stem. I believe I used the word culture. I don't believe Mr. Hopkins used
During
the word
the
culture.
debate.
Right. Yeah, let me go back and look at the culture piece. Yeah, the culture was about organization. It wasn't about school culture. It wasn't about student culture. It was about within the organization. So everybody can play nice together in layman's terms. So they can understand what the other departments or other parts of the organization will do, so they can work together as a whole for the good of everybody. That's the culture piece. It had nothing to do with the students or teachers or individuals.
Thank you. Ryan, did you want to say anything about that?
I might just follow on that we're big fans of the culture of the Gettysburg Area School District in our household, and that it is kind of a classic educational trifecta. You have got teachers, parents, and students often working very closely together to achieve those educational goals. I think that needs to be fostered and maintained throughout the K through 12 experience.
Last question.
I have a question about the demographics. Do you have a rising number or a falling number of students, or is it mixed at different levels? And also, in terms of other types of income, is there any thought of opening the trade schools to adult education for kids who have already graduated and maybe been out in the working population for a few years?
So these are great and somewhat separate questions. I should say that there's a demographic study done periodically by the schools. I believe it's every 5 years. And that there's variation within our regional demographics, but nothing to suggest any significant long-term downward or upward trends based on the numbers as they exist right now. Now, people that live in the area are aware that there's many new homes being built. A lot of those are first-time homes that are probably going to be picking up young families. And as they do so, there's going to be likely a bolus coming up over the next 5-10 years of incoming kindergarten-age students, at which point the board is going to need to think about how to respond to those demographic shifts. They're a little bit into the future, but are likely going to be upon us pretty soon and will require, again, some nimble budgeting. The second part was about ACTI and trade schools. And so this has not come up in particular for continuing ed. Instead, the focus is for junior, senior year. However, there has been some conversations about integrating the Adams County Technical Institute with our local community college, the Harrisburg Area Community College. And in doing so, we might be able to bring a lot of the resources and infrastructure that we're developing as the county into HAC, as we have partnered with them for other classes, in particular for juniors and seniors in core curricular requirements, and for medical education.
And that's a pretty comprehensive answer. The information you were requesting about the demographics, that's on public domain. You can go to the GSD website and pull that down, or Adams County, or even the state, and then queue it down. But yeah, that's a great idea for the recent graduates that want to do some kind of VOTEC, or young adults. Yeah, that would have to go through HAC or some other community organization.
Again, please join me in thanking both candidates for being here tonight. And for those of you who perhaps were not with us for the earlier forum, I'm Tracy Potts. I'm the Executive Director of the Eisenhower Institute and the co-sponsor, along with Dr. Dowds in the Public Policy Department and our students and our student organizations as well. It is so very important that as engaged members of this community, we hear from those who desire to be decision makers for our city, for our borough, for our school, and for greater jurisdictions as well. And so we appreciate both of you being here tonight to be part of this. As I stated earlier, civic engagement is a responsibility that we all have, and when we are able to do it in a way that is informed, it makes our entire community better. So thank you all so much. And I do not have the information with me, but I do know that Posted on your way out is some detailed information about where and how you can vote, because at the end of the day, this is why we're here, and this is what is going to help make our community better. So thank you again so much for your time, and we do have another candidate forum that's happening on Thursday. So if you're very interested in the schools, there'll be a number of other candidates here who are running for those other positions as well.
And we have the forum on October 1st.
On Thursday, thank you. So we have the candidate forum for school board for the other 4 seats on Thursday. And then on October 1st, we have the candidate forum for the judicial candidates.
Yes. Sorry, I just sprung that on Tracy.
No. I'm glad that you said so. So bottom line, if you want to know what's going on in your community, you want to be an informed voter, you should come back here. Thank you all so much this evening.
Gentlemen?